The thing is, BMW's i3 is a very old car at this point, almost a decade old in fact. The motoring world has changed massively around the i3 since it first appeared back in 2013. Yet, amazingly, I think it's still one of the best electric cars around. Were BMW even more ahead with the i3's concept than we originally thought? Or has EV tech really not moved on that much since then? A bit of both, I feel. Apart from a mild exterior facelift in 2017, the only thing that's materially changed on the i3 during its life has been the battery capacity, starting life with just 22 kilowatt hours, ending its life with a mighty 42.2. With that bigger battery, BMW also saw fit to create the sportier i3S model. The electric motor now gives a more than adequate 184 horsepower and 270 newton meters of torque. All in that inimitable electric car way. I get it all at once as soon as I press the pedal. The motor's mounted out back, so it's still a proper rear-wheel drive BMW, and in many ways, driving it feels remarkably like my M140i. The suspension on the S model is lower and it has a wider track, stiffer springs, dampers and stabilisers, and at 1250 kilograms for this battery-only model. Performance is brisk at the very least. The 0 to 100 km/h sprint takes 6.9 seconds. It's well into hot hatch territory. That's all thanks to its carbon fibre construction. The styling blows both hot and cold at the same time. It's not without its appeal, but the rear of it, and the point where the rear window drops down behind the front door, just doesn't work for me. After all this time, while less oddball, I think it still looks fresh. I honestly didn't notice it at the time, but back in 2013 when this thing was released, it must have looked absolutely mental. The interior rights the wrongs of the exterior styling, I think, managing to balance being usable, comfortable, decent cabin space, easy to fathom iDrive, with being a bit out there and space age. Funky thin deck chair seats, visible canaf reinforced panels, unusual gear selector, swooping dash. The rear suicide doors are not the easiest things to work with, and the boot is small but adequate with no awkward intrusions. Quality levels in the cabin are simply excellent. So it's a carbon chassis, rear-engined and rear-driven car with sharp performance and a slightly premium badge. It's been almost 10 years since its launch now, and there still isn't another vehicle out there that comes close to matching its specification. And what's it like to drive? It has lovely steering, a bit too light but feelsome enough. It has good body control, but enthusiastic cornering or premature roundabout exit power application puts it on the limit of its comically thin, low rolling resistance tyres very quickly. The BMW i3S is not perfect. The ride quality will jar for some, the two-seat rear, the small boot, the somewhat primitive infotainment system. I can see how for some drivers those things may grate in a car that once upon a time was cutting edge. But it has an infectious character, a sense of fun, agility, rear-wheel drive rowdiness. From its old-school, high-tech heart, and that's something that's lacking from every other electric car I've driven. It really was a pioneer of its time.